I think about this dance like a very complex calculus problem. In music, all music has a structure. People will come up to me at an event, I've never met them before, and they're like, oh my God, you're that deaf girl. I do not like being referenced as that deaf girl by any means. I want to view myself as a good dancer. I don't want people to get to know me because I have a disability. That is not the vibe that I want into my life. I truly believe that there are many more interesting facts about me.
Okay, here we go. Round 2. We had audio problems, extremely ironically. The microphones didn't record anything, which is so ironic because I'm here with Trinity. Welcome back to Affinity Swing Podcasts. I'm here with the amazing Trinity that I met at this event last year here in Kansas at Midwest Westie Fest. You're a Kansas local now, originally from California. And the unique thing about you is...
I'm deaf. I lost my hearing when I was 12, but I've been hard of hearing most of my life.
Okay, so you've been hard of hearing, and at 12 you lost your hearing completely. And then in terms of your dance journey, were you dancing before that? Or were you dancing recently?
Yes, I grew up dancing competitively in like solo movements, and then my mom was a West Coast swing dancer, so I like learned West Coast swing because my mom went to all of these events and I was following her around. So I learned it as I grew up, and then when I lost the rest of my hearing, I stopped because I just got very overwhelmed and it felt impossible at the time to connect with something that was so musically based that I could not understand.
Yeah, anymore. I was going to say there's going to be a lot of questions that the audience are thinking right now along the lines of, you're an extremely amazing dancer. How on earth do you do it? And I know you've got a lot of thoughts on that. Tell me about going to events and interacting with people generally, and how that's been, and if there are people not listening but watching who are deaf or hard of hearing, how could we make it easy for them? How could we welcome them in?
I'm somebody that does get very overstimulated very easily. I love my introverted time.
Yep.
Events can be really overwhelming, especially because there is so much happening. And at least for me, because I lost my hearing later in life, when I'm like in a space, I am highly aware that there is a lot going on that I don't know unless somebody tells me.
Oh, yeah.
So it's sometimes it's really overwhelming because I'm like sitting there and I'm watching everybody interact, but I am not included in what is going on. A lot of the times, like when I go to registration, my easiest thing is I'll like hand them my student ID because I'm a college student. A lot of the events I go to have college passes. So I'm like, here, let me show you that I am really a student. And also you already got my name.
Yep.
And when they talk to me, I kind of just sit there and nod.
The really tricky thing for me communicating with you is not that I know that you're deaf. It's that you're so good at masking it. I constantly forget every 3 seconds. I go, oh, you didn't catch that because I wasn't looking at you and I wasn't showing my mouth to you because you lip read, right, extremely well. And could you show the camera what you have with you?
Yeah. My iPhone captions, very helpful. I use those at events a lot, like when I'm talking with people I don't know. Yeah. But then sometimes I feel rude because I'm just standing there talking to someone like...
Yes. Yeah, that must be...
I'm like, sorry, I just don't know what you're saying.
Yeah, totally. So for me, like talking to you, every 2 seconds we're making mistakes. Even like this evening, just setting this up, it's hilarious. You're always going, Harold, I can't hear you. Yeah, of course you can't hear me because... Oh, it's so confusing. To me, you don't have a deaf accent that you present, and you, even if you do miss things, you're so good at interpreting what's probably said. And you said earlier something about...
I know that if I can control where the conversation is going, that I will be able to guesstimate what somebody is going to say to me. So like at an event, for example, in a Jack and Jill, I dance with people that I don't know. I don't know many people. And this is to my own demise because I don't introduce myself to new people very often. Yep. Because that's just really overwhelming for me. Because I have to watch someone talk for like a decent amount of time before I can like understand, guess how they're speaking. Because everyone speaks differently and uses different terms. Like when I met you, the only thing that I knew was that I knew you had an accent. And because you over-pronunciated everything. Okay. I fairly quickly was able to understand certain things that you were saying because of your accent that you have. You over-enunciate more things than Americans do. Yes. And so, like, when I meet someone for the first time, I don't really understand what they're saying to me. But, like, in a Jack and Jill situation, they're probably like, oh, hi, my name is blah, blah, blah. Like, what's your name? As 9 times out of 10, something that I guess I could ask you, so you would say when you draw a follower that you don't know or you've never met before.
Yeah.
That's typically what we do. And so I'm able to like, because I've grew up in this scene, I'm able to like assume things that people are going to say to me before I actually have to say anything to them.
Yes.
Especially like we're at a dance event. We're going to be talking about a lot of dance related things. But then even still, like meeting new people is really overwhelming because I don't know what they're saying to me. I make my friends forewarn me before they introduce me to somebody that I've never met before so that I can just like sit with it and be like, you're going to meet someone new, but it's going to be okay.
Really?
Yeah.
Wow.
If I could have my way, which I could technically have my way, if I could only sign at events, I don't have to speak, which is something that I've like gone more towards in the last year, just because I am very protective of like how people view me and how I view myself as a dancer. Some of the times I've met people who will like assume things about me because I can't hear, like, oh, like you speak so well. Oh, well, like I would have never guessed that you can't hear, or you're such a good dancer even though you can't hear. Or at like an event last year, I don't know the exact number, but it felt like 100 people had come up to me and they were like, oh my God, you're that deaf girl. Do you want to dance?
Yeah.
And like, that's really overwhelming because I don't know you.
Yeah.
So like, why are you making assumptions about me and my abilities? I would never do the same for you.
Yes.
Even though I know that you can hear. So it's like the way people view me changes, and it heavily affected how I viewed myself. I started signing more at events because I was making a strict boundary that I was not going to talk to people about my deafness because I did not owe anybody that information.
I mean, it's kind of how we started.
We danced and you were like, something, something, something. Do you want to dance again? And I was like,
yeah,
that's great. And then I think after I assumed you asked my name, and I said, my name is Trinity. And I did not know what your name was. And Trenton introduced me to you later, and I knew Trenton. And so when he told me your name, I was like, Harold.
Yes. Yes. And then I thought you were French.
And you thought I was French. If you catch me late night social dancing, I do not try. Like when I do speech therapy. And so something that I find really important for me is for people to understand me. And so when I talk, a lot of the times I talk as if I'm public speaking, not as if I'm having a normal conversation with people.
Yeah.
When I get more comfortable with people, or if I'm late night social dancing in the ballroom where I'm pretty sure you guys can't even really hear me in there.
Yeah, nobody can.
I don't try as hard to like mask that or hide that.
Is it more comfortable to speak, to not have to really think about it?
Yes, it is more comfortable because I don't really have to think about it, but it's because it's like when I'm talking, I can't hear myself, which is the really uncomfortable part of talking.
Yep.
Is it's like I know what I'm saying, but sometimes I don't. Like I mess up words a lot.
Yeah.
And that's fine. I know that people, like my friends, are like, it's fine, Trinity. Like it's, but for like me, I'm like, how is that going to make them view me?
Right.
Especially because I am very young and in this dance world, and I want to be a professional, and I don't want people's first impression of me to be something of like mistakes that I had made when I was younger. And I know that how I speak is not one of those things, but in my little brain, I'm like, well, what if?
Right.
When I talk, it's like I can feel I can feel the like vibrations of my voice in my skull, but I can't actually hear what I'm saying, which is what a lot of most hearing people, all hearing people can hear, like some essence of what their voice sounds like.
Yes.
So like if I had my way, I would only sign at events, but I care about connecting with the people in the community, and I do enjoy teaching. I've recently started teaching in the last year, and unfortunately, that talking is a unlisted requirement of those things.
Yeah, 100%. 100%. Yeah.
I hope that made sense.
Well, I mean, I'm a big fan of actually not talking during lessons. When I do teaching observations in my other job, we have a thing called teacher talk time, which is...
your worst nightmare?
Yeah, it's like, so when I go to class and I hear teachers talking for more than 10% of the class, that's a fail in my book. I say, great, no stress.
It has been really beneficial. There have been people in the community that I hold very dear to me, who like have learned sign language and have really made this environment very inclusive and like actively work towards making this environment really inclusive.
Yeah.
I actually will be attending an event next year who is hiring an interpreter for me to go to their event so that I can take their workshops, because it's for Swing a Soda. Because it's
this year?
No, next year.
Next year, sweet.
2026. I have a final that day, so I could go this year.
Okay.
But they reached out to me because it's mainly a workshop weekend, and I was mentioned that I was like, I really would love to go to that event one year. Like, it looks like so much fun, but I can't justify spending that much money to go to an event that I would not pick up 100% of the content. I don't take workshops at events. I only do private lessons, and I only do private lessons with people that I know and who I know that I can understand. And if I don't, I have somebody come in and like take notes or interpret. Like, I did a lesson with you, even though, I mean, I know you fairly well, but like you don't know sign language by any means.
Zero.
But I found it very admirable. Like, I didn't even have to ask you. This is actually something like altered by brain chemistry. I didn't have to ask you to take notes for me. You just did it. And I was like, that's the nicest thing anyone has ever done to me. Things like that, like making this dance more inclusive. And like, I'll be able to go to Swing a Soda and take a workshop and like actually understand all of the content, not just like go through the motions and then read notes about it later, or like hope that I understood it, or try to add captions to a very poorly audioed video that I took on my iPhone.
Yeah, because we really don't think about any of these things. I'm thinking, like, down to, the fact that I invited you for a podcast, which is super ironic, and I thought, it's okay, we can film it so that we can do captions. But then I handed you a microphone, and now you can't sign. Like, a nightmare. And then you explained to me that
ASL and English are different, so it's hard to like.
Yes.
If you catch me in the ballroom when I have both my hands available, or you'll see me this weekend, I mainly sign.
Yeah.
Just to protect my own energy.
So how do we make it more accessible?
I think Swing a Soda is honestly a really good example. Yeah. And trust me, this is never something that I would ever ask of an event, just because ASL interpreters are not cheap. I'm in college, so my college pays for all of my interpreters for literally everything that I do.
Yeah.
And then the government pays for my doctor's appointments. So
that's nice. Woo. Yeah.
But I would never expect an event to like hire an interpreter for me. Some like I did a Westy remix critique a year ago, and Dion, he's a dancer in the scene, but he also works as an interpreter. And the event had reached out to him and was like, hey, how should we go about this? And he volunteered to interpret at the critique. And so he came in and he interpreted for me, and it was a great experience. Or Swing a Soda, they reached out to me and they're like, hey, we were told that you would really like to come to our event, but you need an interpreter. I want to make that happen.
Sure.
They're like, we would really love to have you like this year, or if like next year would be better, like just let's like figure this out. Like, we want to. I can only imagine how difficult that is. I don't think it's because I've become a higher level dancer. I think it's just because like I've now been in the scene for almost 3 years. Like, I've actually been dancing and like things like that. So like people just are more aware of it now.
Yep.
But it is like, it's very beneficial for like having interpreters or having an app where we post finals, because if I'm in the ballroom and we're calling finals out to the floor, I have what I call my designated hearing person that sits with me and tells me if I got called out to finals or not.
Because we went and did that Strictly last weekend or the weekend before, which was hilarious. Did a Switchly Strictly. It was...
We had a great time.
It was a car crash. It was an absolute car crash. It was so much fun. I had a
great time.
I mean, we had a fun time in the car crash. Like, we were going 100 miles an hour.
Party in the USA, full blast.
Yeah, it's crazy. It was so good. But like they said, oh, we're going in now. And we just start moving. And you went, oh, we're going in? I was like, oh, of course, you've got to say, Harold.
Or when we were slotted the wrong way for our first song.
That wasn't due to.
I don't think that was on you. Well, I don't know if they told you.
Leading incorrectly. Yeah, it's not. That's nothing. I have no excuse there. That doesn't count. So the big question for the average hearing person, let's say, is how do you dance so good? How do you do it with the music? How does it make any sense? But before we do that, I would just like to know. So you said event directors, doing, sponsoring, interpreters, really, really cool, like an app in order to announce what's going on. Let's move on to, your friends and the people that you meet when they're with you. If they hear something over the microphone, telling you what that is.
Yeah. Or like if I've had somebody see me in the ballroom that walked up to me and they were like, hey, they're about to cut you from finals. And I was like, oh, right. Because I was sitting reading in the ballroom, which probably is my own fault.
If you have a dietary requirement, people go out their way to make additional food. If you're a volunteer marshaller, if you're a head of marshalling, you should probably know if somebody's deaf, right? And they go, oh, why haven't they turned up? Somebody go and text them right now and make it a small adjustment. Small adjustment.
Is very kind. I mean, they didn't cut me, and I don't remember who was marshalling, but I know a lot of Dallas people. So I think that they did wait extended time. I did not ask because I got there and they were like, "We're going to finals right now," and I was like, I got there and I was like, "I'm so sorry."
Yeah.
But then also after I was like, "That's not my fault." I apologize for being late, obviously, because I hate being late, but me not being able to hear them calling my name over the microphone is that's not my problem.
What about when they say, we're not going to post the finals list, we're just going to call people to the floor?
Normally I have someone tell me, this is so bad. I really only go to events that my the core group of the girls that I met when I first started dancing go to, because they have learned sign language for me. So it's really comfortable and really easy for me to just sign with them at events and not have to stress about having to speak for people. And then they're also really helpful. And if somebody is talking to me and I don't know what they're saying, they see that glazed over look.
Yep.
And then they'll be like, this is what they said.
So what are the annoying questions, the annoying things that people do that you really just would rather people not do?
I think a big thing is honestly, a lot of it is things that you just wouldn't say to a normal person.
Whoa. Person with hearing.
Person with hearing.
I might have accidentally said that earlier too. Reset it. You're fine.
I can say whatever I want.
yeah, exactly. Oh dear.
Okay. A lot of it is just things that you wouldn't say to a hearing person. But also when people find out that I'm deaf, I've very slowly and begrudgingly learned that people are just unaware, and that's okay. I would rather them meet me than someone who might actually get offended. It takes a lot to offend me because I have just come to terms with the fact that people do not know, and ignorance is a big thing in the world and in any situation, not just for people who are deaf. But when I'm approached at an event, and I do post on social media, videos of me dancing. And so people see that, and then people will come up to me at an event and I've never met them before. And they're like, oh my God, you're that deaf girl. And that's a crazy statement because what?
Yeah.
And that's normally what my reaction is. And I'm like, huh? And then I'm like, well, yeah, I guess so. But I do not like being referenced as that deaf girl by any means. Because I always try, and I want to view myself as a good dancer.
Yes.
Not a good dancer
despite
or because or any of those insert filler word here. I'm deaf.
Yes.
Because I've said this to you, it's my dance ability, my individual body movement isn't drastically affected by the fact that I cannot hear. I can choreograph a combo to no music and dance it just fine.
Yep.
I think a lot of the times people just have to check their vocabulary of being the way that I improv to things they find really interesting because I cannot hear the music. I cannot interpret the music the same way we do.
Yep.
When I dance, I focus a lot on where I feel the music and how I can confine that into swing. So when people ask, or people will be like, wow, you're a really good dancer, even though you can't hear. Thank you. I think it's one of those things. Or a lot of the times people are like, you can speak. I'm like, yeah, well, if I chose not to, we wouldn't be having this conversation.
It's a very strange thing because I think it comes from a
place of a good heart. I've never, that's a lie, one time. But other than one time, I have never taken what somebody has said to me as hateful or malicious intent. That has never, for the most part, been the case. Of people will typically are just so impressed by it.
It's very impressive. Yeah.
That they just start talking before they start thinking about what they're saying. And that is kind of what the like think before you speak is very present in those terms.
Yeah.
Especially because I don't really know what people are saying to me. So like when somebody I've never met before comes up and is like blah 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 deaf, and I'm like, right, so you're talking about me being deaf to me.
Thank you. Yeah, I didn't bring it up, dude. Yes. So it's an interesting one because I think a lot of people let's say somebody's vegetarian. Other people might feel when somebody says they're vegetarian that they feel slightly judged, and it's a negative thing, but they will nevertheless accommodate that person despite them being different. But with yourself, it's completely the opposite. They go, oh, this person is different and is absolutely zero threat to me. If anything, I find them impressive and I want to give them praise.
That is very overwhelming too, because I mean, we're all our biggest critic in the dance world. Yep. And so like when people will be like, wow, like you're so impressive and you can't hear, I understand where people are coming from it. Yep. But like this is something that I live with. Like I go through every day. Yep. Everything that I do in my life, I cannot hear it. So why, like for me, it was like, okay, like why is this any different? Yep. And it was just the view, like people were watching me now versus in my day-to-day life, they aren't, wow, she did the dishes.
Yep.
Thank you. I did my simple human task.
She can't even hear, and she's done the dishes.
In the dance world, and like that's something that we don't see very often. It's that thing of it's like, oh, and then people like want to get to know me, and it's a way of it's like I don't want people to get to know me because I have a disability or because I have a different ability. Like that is not the vibe that I'm exuding. That is not the vibe that I want into my life. Like I truly believe that there are many more interesting facts about me.
Yes.
Other than that, I am deaf. Yes. That is like one of my least fun facts. Yep. Like I'm not sharing that with the stranger that I met on the dance floor.
Yeah, 100%. Would you almost treat it like talking about religion with somebody? If you knew somebody was of a particular faith, you wouldn't walk up to them and be like, "Whoa, you're a Christian! Wow!" You
and
just go, "Why, dude?" Like,
I would agree with that because it's like I would never walk up to somebody and say that, or like if somebody had a more like visible disability, like if they were an amputee or if they were in a wheelchair, nobody is going to walk up and be like, "Oh my God, you're in a wheelchair. Can I dance with you?"
Yeah.
Nobody is saying that. No. And so I don't understand why people say it to me.
Right, exactly. So on that then, the big question that is super annoying.
He's going to ask the question.
How is it possible? How is it? You're a genius. You're such a superpower. I think if we tell people on this, then they won't keep going up to you and asking. We know each other well enough. I feel like it's a reasonable, like we talked about the fact that we're going to talk about this. Yeah. So it's kind of cool. A stranger, probably not so cool. Rather than me say, how do you do it? What I'd rather ask is, as a lead dancing with you, and do you lead as well, or do you follow?
I primary follow because that is easier than leading. But I do lead because I teach, and so I took an interest in learning how to lead. I'm leading in a Strictly this weekend, actually. I'm really nervous about it. But leading is not like what I actively see competitively. Okay,
so as a lead, what makes a great dance for you? And and I'm really curious because I mean you're an absolute.
He's about to take notes, and we're gonna social dance later.
Yeah, 100%. Because the thing that really got me when we danced was all of your micro musicality, and when we talked about that was super duper interesting to me. And it was because you were deaf, right?
Aww.
You know, like I was like, wow, right? It's so cool. It's super interesting to me. So talk me through it.
So I think what makes a really good dance for me, one is, this is actually something I've been working on and practicing, is like how, for lack of better terms, do I pull what the tone of the music is out of my leader? It is very loud in the ballroom. I feel like that is not a secret to anyone. I recently discovered people wear earplugs in the ballroom, and that was a really interesting conversation. But I know that there's music playing. I can feel the music that is playing. And so that is like my primary connection to the music is how it feels. Yep. And that's more like individually for me. If I have a leader that is visually able to communicate the tone of the music, because like my least favorite is contemporary or anything like with no bass. Yep. Is this a love song? Is this a one-sided love song? Is this a breakup song? Is this just a sad song?
Yep.
And what kind of sad is it? A lot of the times we don't dance with that vivid of emotion to what the music is saying, but we'll pantomime to it.
Yes.
Which is a whole different thing that I don't like.
Oh gosh, that must be a nightmare. Doing blooming caricatures of the oh no.
Yeah. But if a leader can like communicate that to me visually, like what that is, because it's like, for example, ASL is a very body language.
Yeah.
So when I'm dancing, that is exactly what we're doing. We're having a conversation with our bodies. And so if a leader can communicate like tone to music to me, that's great. If my leader is very like open to like what I want to say is also very helpful, because I'm able to move where I'm feeling the music and like what direction from what you're telling me, this is the direction that I am taking and running with, and like how I can build on that. And then you had mentioned like micro musicalities, something that's very difficult for me. But the reason why I love dancing with you is because I know that I can move my body in a lot of those like micro musicality ways, because I self-train like for solo movement. But every choice that I make is a direct correlation of a choice that you made previously.
If we had some like crazy number of accents in the song, and there was a really fat bass to that song, doosh, 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 and there was all sorts of crazy things going on, and I just danced it super smooth on time.
I'm going to do the exact same thing.
You'd be like, cool.
I would, if I could feel certain things in the music that like I was picking up, like my body was picking up, I would accent those, but I wouldn't accent them in a way that would affect our connection.
Yep.
If we're dancing a super smooth dance, I'm like, great, that's how we're going to run it. And that's fine. But like, I would say that my stronger suit is like pop and hip hop, because those have better bass and more options for how I can move my body to it. So like when we dance and you're very communicative of like where those micro musicalities are happening in the music, I am able to go, I do a lot of math in my head when I'm dancing. I'm able to go, great, that's probably going to happen again in about 16 counts. How can I take that and either do it, or how can I take that and add to it? Is really how I dance. I'm basically just stealing your style.
Yeah, 100%. Love it. It's really interesting because we always talk about tell the story. You should be able to, like, I don't want to see the same dance to different music, which is the key problem in most dances at all levels. Not at all levels, but at a lot of levels. So I do want to be able to turn the music off and still be able to tell what the song is.
That's something that I really passionate about. My roommate is not a dancer, and I make her watch videos of me dancing without music on, and then I ask her what she thinks that was about.
Yeah, that's super interesting.
Oh, and wow. I'll like when I practice, I have a practice partner here in Kansas City that I meet up with every once in a while. When we practice, I then take them to her and I make her do the same thing.
Wow.
And I'm like, great, what do you think happened in that dance?
That's crazy.
And so, because then I'm getting live feedback, and then I play the music, then she'll watch it with the music on, and she goes, oh, okay. And she's able to like give me feedback on like how she feels that would have been better communicated.
Wow. What about phrase changes? Math.
Yeah. This dance is a mathematical dance. I think about this dance like a very complex calculus problem. In music, all music has a structure. It's set up in 4 bars. Things that a lot of us dancers know. I'm not going to bore anybody else who's listening with the terminology for it. But there is a certain number of counts, depending on the genre of music, where a phrase change should be. Emphasis on should, because it doesn't always happen. And sometimes I'm wrong, and that's okay. There's the phrase change where it should be. And so I sit in my head and I go 1 and a 2 and a 3 and a 4 and a 2 and a 2 and a 3. And I count the number of counts that we have gone through since I figured out we were on time.
My goodness.
And roughly in that area, something is going to happen. If it's a really bassy song, I can feel how it is building up. And so I use a lot of like downs for like really big bass hits, because there's going to be a big hit, a movement that's going to match that big hit is going to be a down, whether it's my leader leads me in a dip, or if I can manipulate my leader to lead me in the dip that I want.
Wow.
Those things versus if it's a lyrical song. Honestly, when I get a lyrical song, I'm really sorry for everyone who draws me in it, because I'm just like, have fun.
With the lack of distraction from all the crazy accents and everything going on and being much more visual, this is a complete, like, I don't know, this is maybe a dumb question, but I've already said a lot of dumb things this evening, so it's totally fine.
You've already said a lot of dumb things today.
Yeah.
This weekend.
Yeah. Right, it's only just begun.
Voice note to Trinity Madden.
Right.
I can't hear that, Harold.
Yeah. No excuse. No excuse. Timing and a leader being off time. Do you think...
It's my worst nightmare.
Can you feel it?
Do you feel it? Depends on how... it depends on how poorly we're off time.
And you can feel the bass in the floor.
I can feel the bass in the floor. I can feel the music in the floor. Sometimes, sure. I won't lie, it's not an easy thing because it's like I feel all of it and it's just like vibration. And I'm like, okay. Yep. And I can feel... And I don't know if this is actually something that is scientifically happening in my body or psychologically happening in my body. It's like, I think I can feel different parts of the music in my body. And that's cool. Where I communicate those things to. So that's just how I move. If I feel it in my legs, I'm going to dance it in my legs. If I feel it in my chest, I'm going to dance it in my chest. That's just how I do it.
Yep.
And so that also could just be like where speakers are. So I never dance the same at an event weekend. A lot of the times that I'm able to discover that we're off time is at the phrase change.
Yeah.
Especially in like bassy things, because that phrase change or like bluesy things. I love blues because blues music goes, I'm going to tell you something and then I'm going to tell you again. And then I'm going to tell you something. I'm going to tell you again. And then we're going to change it. And we're going to go right back to what we were talking about.
Yeah.
That is blues music basically.
Yep.
And so like we're dancing a blues song and that change happens and we are not in a phrase changed spot.
Yeah.
I'm like, dang, we're off time.
Wow.
How do I fix this?
That's really interesting.
I don't really have like a method to fixing it. It's like one of those things where I'm like, well, we're off time. So
thank you for throwing me to the dance gods. Yeah, no, 100%.
It's like, I'm like, we're off time. Like I'm just going to have a good time. There's not a lot I can change about that situation. Depending on like what is playing, I can like adjust where I need to, like take an extra count here or there. And then once I can feel that bass on that, okay, and one, here we go. Yep. I'm able to adjust that as needed.
So 2 final things. If there's any more sort of interesting things that you think people don't know about the way that you view the dance, maybe, and if that's different to other people, and then in terms of like getting more people in, how do we encourage people that are hard of hearing or deaf or have any disability to get into the dance?
One thing that one of my friends, this is like her favorite thing about me, she called me Human Shazam one time, which is very ironic. I know. I have a notebook that I keep I call it my music context. And I Shazam music when I'm in the ballroom. And then I sit in my studio with my little speaker and I hold it and I write notes about how certain songs feel that are played very commonly, like in our social dancing, in our Jack and Jills. Because then like, if I'm really lucky and I get a leader who likes to sing, I can be like, oh, I know this song. And I memorize the lyrics to like very popular songs that we play. Because then again, I get a leader that likes to sing. I'm like, this is great. I know what this song is about and I know what's going to happen. I try to memorize a lot of songs and I have a notebook and I write about like where I feel it in my body and how I can combine that into swing. I'll write out the lyrics to the chorus mainly because that's like really where a lot of people are going to pantomime in a dance. And then I read it over and over and over again.
Wow.
And so that's another like method. That was like my first method when I first started dancing. And so been in the ballroom for like Spotlight Jack and Jills and someone will go look at me and either if they don't know the name of the song, they'll start singing it. And on many occasions I have been able to be like, oh, it's this song by this artist.
Wow.
And I did it for an entire all-star division one time because there was no Wi-Fi and like we couldn't get our phones to work. And so they were just singing the lyrics to me on the side on the floor while we were watching an all-star spotlight. And I was able to name every single song that played.
Wow.
And so they started calling me Human Shazam after that night, which crazy. Again is awfully ironic, but also valid.
So I once was in a class and this is again more evidence that you are French. I was told, Harold and everyone, you need to learn the lyrics to every song. Because you need to know them all. All the popular songs crazy. You need to know them. Which I thought was a bit daft, crazy advice. And the reason for that was we had a lot of French coming over, a lot of Europeans coming over. And do they know the music? Yes, they do. And we have a lot of, especially the French. This was a bit of a while back. They'd come over, not speak much English, and yet could hit everything. They knew everything. They knew the emotion that was being spoken. They knew absolutely everything, despite not understanding a word, because they just went and translated every single lyric to all of the top
So
Spotlight
that's like
songs.
Basically what I do. I just write it down in a journal, I've filled 3 notebooks now, and I am about to start my 4th one.
That's crazy.
And then to get more people in the dance is actually something I've been actively like working on. We have a whopping number of 2 of us in my little Wichita community. Shout out that I've been working with him, but he's a leader, which is like a whole different like can of worms, honestly, that I haven't really touched like I don't compete as a leader competitively, mainly because I don't really want that kind of stress. There's a lot more pressure to be on time as a leader. I don't understand how some people do it. I think that is more impressive than me following, because I have a hard time starting on time. Like I ask my followers, I'm like, hey, count me in, girl. I told you that. I told you that in our Strictly. I said, you're going to have to count me in. Which we started with me leading, which was an awful idea. I don't know why we did rock, paper, scissors. It should have just been like, you're starting. Because once I'm able to get on time, I'm relatively able to stay on time as long as I'm like in sync with the beat. I've recently been working with somebody else who is deaf, and he's been learning this dance, and it's been a really amazing experience.
How many deaf dancers do you think there are?
Yeah, I can say 4.
Really? Yeah.
That I know of.
Yeah.
I cannot say that I know they compete. I know competitively speaking 2. And I'm including myself in that. I'm
along the same lines.
Yes.
And it's interesting because the person that I'm thinking of doesn't really want to talk about it.
Exactly. I've had conversations with them of a big thing and struggle that I've had in my dance journey over the last almost 3 years now is I feel very disconnected from my culture in the dance world. Yeah. Which is interesting because the dance world is also my culture. So it's very much like a bridge that I'm like trying to build as I'm crossing it. And I'm still finding like the balances to everything. ASL deaf culture is such a big part of my everyday life. I come to an event and I don't feel the same way. I don't feel as connected to myself. Especially in like the interactions that I've had with people, it's very draining. Versus for other people who are deaf or hard of hearing, that isn't necessarily a part of their culture. Not all deaf people know sign language. Wow. Like, and that is a fact that I know of
I didn't know
what we
that.
were talking about right now. It's like not all deaf people know sign language. I'm almost positive, at least competitively, that I am one of the only people who actively signs, and like deaf culture is a huge part of my life on competitive circuit. That's the thing. I would not be surprised if there are plenty of deaf dancers out there who don't compete, because that's a lot of pressure. I love doing a spotlight, don't get me wrong, but like that's a lot of pressure to put on yourself.
Even socially.
But making it more accessible, it's something I've actively been like working towards. And like, how do we communicate this dance in West Coast swing terms? I have something I also have a journal about. I write a lot, is like how certain signs can be translated from West Coast swing to sign language. Like I made up signs for how we talk about the divisions, like newcomer to champions, or like masters and the like age level divisions, or West Coast swing, or like just different terminology that we use. Because ASL is a very expressive language. That is like my favorite thing. Like I love that I can be super expressive in my own language, something that I don't feel like I can do as much in English. And so figuring out how to like communicate that, and WAD is a Wichita Association of the Deaf, which is where I live. Okay, yeah. And I love all of them so much, and they're like all also in a different way very impressed with what I do, and like how comfortable I seem in what I'm doing, when I'm really not. But I love doing it, and so I'm like, I'm gonna make it work because this is something that I love to do, and I want to be able to express that and show that to my community, which I'm slowly have been able to do in Wichita. But doing it on a large scale is something that I think will take a lot of time and understanding for the average hearing person in the community for it to be more accessible. If I would have known of this other deaf dancer when I had lost my hearing, it would have been significantly easier for my family to convince me to start dancing again. July is Disability Pride Month. So it's a great time for me to talk about this, it's like being an advocate for those people, and being an advocate in a way that is actually supportive and not in a like, look at this way, if that makes sense.
It's a really hard balance to, especially when it comes
it's
to
an
online.
Incredibly hard balance.
Everything viral it's just nonsense.
Exactly. It is a hard balance, but it's like, having those, like having people on staff that have those different abilities. And like having that diversity in the dance world is so important, and like showcasing and advocating and showing that like we care about those things, I think is a great way that will get more people in those communities to actually consider trying our dance.
This has been absolutely amazing. I really hope that this has both educated people that aren't aware of all the difficulties somebody with hearing loss or is deaf that is a dancer and or not a dancer as well. So it's educated them. I hope it's inspired some people that might be watching with a disability to come and learn the dance.
Hit me up on Facebook.
Yeah, 100%.
I'll get you connected in your area.
Yeah, come find Trinity. It's going to be amazing. And you talked about that bridging the gap. You've got one community, you've got another community, and you feel like you miss the other community when you're in this community. So hopefully we've made this community a little bit more accommodating and a little bit more helpful, and also hopefully we'll drag some of that community in and we'll plant it in there.
Come enjoy dancing with us. Yeah, it's so much fantastic.
Fun. Cool. Right, thanks so much.
Thank
that was
you.
Amazing. Cool. All right, brilliant. Bye.
Bye.
Is that how we say it? Wait, how do we say it?
Oh, this is just I love you in sign language.
Oh, this is I love you. Okay,
and
bye.
so I just do this. That's
Bye.
whenever I wave to people, because I feel awkward just telling someone I love them, but I love all people. So.
You could have totally told me. I would have gone around telling everybody I love them. If you'd said that was bye. Bye. That would be such a good ending. Bye. Howard thinks this is bye.